Your fish is trying to tell you something right now. Not with words, obviously, but with every flicker of its fins, every nervous lap around the tank, every time it presses itself against the glass. And the terrifying truth is that most aquarium owners are doing things every single day that their fish are desperately trying to escape from. Not because you're cruel, because nobody told you. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly what those 7 things are and what to do instead. Some of these are going to surprise you. Here's what makes this more than just aquarium advice. Scientists have been studying fish psychology for decades now, and what they're finding is reshaping everything we thought we knew about these animals. Zebrafish, goldfish, cichlids, damselfish. Researchers are running the same kinds of behavioral and cognitive tests on them that were once reserved for mammals, and the results are uncomfortable. Your fish experiences stress. Your fish experiences something that looks a lot like fear. And your fish may even experience something that functions like pain. Most aquarium owners never realize this because fish don't scream. They suffer quietly, pressing against the glass, pacing, hiding, and we call it personality. It isn't. Let's talk about what's actually going on. Number 1, you're tapping the glass, and your fish is having a panic attack every time you do it. This one might sting a little because tapping the glass feels like interaction. It feels like you're saying hello. But here's what's actually happening inside your fish's nervous system when your finger hits that glass. In neuroscience research, tapping on the aquarium or the tank stand is used as a standardized method to induce startle responses, fear, and measurable anxiety in zebrafish. Scientists don't use it as enrichment. They use it as a stress induction protocol. That means the thing you're doing to say hi is the same thing researchers do when they want to make a fish anxious on purpose. Fish don't have the cognitive framework to understand that a giant finger pressing against glass is friendly. What they register is a sudden vibration, a looming shape, and an unpredictable disturbance in their environment. Their nervous system fires, cortisol spikes, and if this happens repeatedly, every time someone walks past the tank, every time a child presses their nose to the glass, the fish is living in a state of chronic low-level alarm. Over time, this wears on their immune function, their behavior, and their overall condition. If you want to interact with your fish, try sitting calmly near the tank, moving slowly, and letting them come to you. Some species will, and when they do, it means something real. Number 2, you're running lights late into the night, and it's reshaping your fish's brain. Most people leave aquarium lights on for convenience because they want to see the fish in the evening, or they simply forget to turn them off. But research on fish circadian systems reveals something genuinely alarming about what this does. Studies on zebrafish exposed to blue heavy artificial light at night found that these fish swam less, huddled together, and pressed themselves against the tank walls. These are textbook anxiety markers in fish behavioral research. Not shyness, not preference, anxiety. And it gets worse. The same research found that these anxiety-like changes can persist into the next generation. The disruption to melatonin rhythms caused by artificial light at night doesn't just affect the fish you're keeping. It can affect their offspring. Fish have internal circadian clocks that are calibrated by light and temperature cycles, what scientists call zeitgebers, or time givers. When you disrupt those with constant or inappropriate lighting, you alter their stress responses, their growth patterns, and their daily activity rhythms. The fix here is actually simple. Give your fish real darkness. Use a timer. Aim for roughly 8 to 12 hours of light followed by genuine darkness. Blue-weighted light during the day, nothing at night. Your fish's nervous system will thank you in ways you'll actually be able to see. Calmer behavior, more natural movement, less wall hugging. Number 3, you think glass surfing is energy. It's actually a cry for help. Glass surfing, that repetitive pacing up and down the front panel of the tank, is one of the most misread behaviors in the aquarium hobby. People see it and think their fish is active, enthusiastic, excited for feeding. Aquatic ethologists see it and recognize something very different. This behavior is classified as a stereotypy, a repetitive, invariant movement pattern that emerges when an animal is confined in an environment that fails to meet its psychological needs. You've seen the same thing in zoo animals. A tiger pacing back and forth along a fence, a bear swaying in a corner. We recognize those as signs of psychological distress in mammals. In fish, we call it personality. The triggers are well documented. Confinement in a space that's too small, poor environmental enrichment, chronic stress, or social deprivation. The solution isn't just a bigger tank, though that often helps. It's about what's inside the tank. Plants, shelters, varied backgrounds, changes in water flow, hiding spots. Welfare reviews consistently show that environmental enrichment improves cognitive performance and reduces stress in fish. A barren tank might be easier to clean, but it is genuinely bad for your fish's mental state. And glass surfing is your fish telling you that over and over again until it becomes the only thing it knows how to do. Number 4, you're keeping social fish alone, and it's costing them more than you think. This is one of the most underappreciated welfare issues in the hobby. Many popular aquarium fish, danios, tetras, certain damselfish, are what scientists call obligate or strong shoaling species. They evolved to live in groups, and their nervous systems are calibrated around the presence of others. When you keep them alone, or in pairs that fall below the social threshold, something measurable happens. Experiments on gregarious damselfish found that isolated fish lost body condition and had significantly higher metabolic rates than fish kept with shoal mates. That means a lonely fish is literally burning more energy just to cope with the psychological stress of isolation. It's not neutral, it's not fine, it's a constant physiological drain. And the social buffering effect works the other way too. Just the visual and chemical presence of shoalmates was enough to lower resting metabolic rate and improve body condition. Your fish doesn't need to touch its companions. It just needs to know they're there. If you're keeping a shoaling species, the research is clear. A group of 6 or more is not a luxury. It's a baseline welfare requirement. Number 5. You're doing things to the water that look fine on a test kit, but are silently stressing your fish. Water chemistry is where a lot of well-meaning aquarium owners unknowingly cause harm, not through neglect, but through overcorrection or misunderstanding. Here's the first thing to understand. Fish don't experience water quality the way a test kit reads it. They experience it through their gills, their skin, their entire body surface, and sublethal levels of ammonia, nitrite, and nitrate, levels that look acceptable on paper, are already changing your fish's behavior and physiology. Studies have found that male fish at higher nitrate concentrations took longer to capture prey and showed reduced food intake without any obvious disease signs. That's a hidden welfare cost you'd never catch unless you were watching carefully. And here's another trap: over-cleaning your filter. Aggressively scrubbing filter media or rinsing it under hot tap water strips the nitrifying biofilm that processes waste, which can trigger delayed ammonia spikes and throw the tank into a mini nitrogen cycle. Your fish goes from stable to stressed without you ever seeing it coming. And on the flip side, chasing a perfect pH with constant chemical corrections is its own problem. Rapid or repeated pH swings force the gills to work harder, trigger cortisol release, and weaken immune function. Stability matters more than perfection. A slightly imperfect but stable parameter is almost always better than a perfect but fluctuating one. Number 6. You think your fish can't hear your TV or feel your subwoofer. It absolutely can. This one surprises people because fish seem so visually disconnected from the world outside the tank. But fish are extraordinarily sensitive to vibration. They have a sensory system called the lateral line, a row of mechanoreceptors that runs along the length of their body, that detects pressure changes and vibrations in the water with remarkable precision. This is how they navigate, how they school, and how they detect predators. which means that chronic noise and vibration from loudspeakers, subwoofers, noisy air pumps, and external sound sources aren't just background noise to your fish. They're a constant stream of sensory input that the fish's nervous system has to process and respond to. Research links chronic vibration and noise to skittishness, increased hiding behavior, altered swimming patterns, and physiological stress markers. If your tank is next to a television that runs for hours every evening, or near a speaker system with heavy bass, your fish is experiencing that every single day. Moving the tank to a quieter location, or at least reducing the volume of nearby sound sources during the hours your fish are most active, is a small change with a potentially significant welfare impact. Number 7. You think fish can't feel pain. The science disagrees, and so does your fish's behavior. This is perhaps the most important misconception in the entire hobby, because it underlies every other decision we make about fish welfare. If fish don't feel pain, then none of this really matters that much. But the research has moved well beyond that assumption. Goldfish and zebrafish exposed to noxious stimuli, substances that would cause pain in mammals, reduce their activity, and display abnormal behaviors. Crucially, these behavioral changes are reversed by analgesics, morphine, aspirin, local anesthetics. That's not a reflex. That's a pain modulation system responding to treatment. It's conserved nociception, the same basic biological machinery that underlies pain in vertebrates generally. And welfare scientists are now going further. They're adapting cognitive judgment bias tests to fish, the same paradigm used to detect pessimistic emotional states in dogs, pigs, and rats. The idea is simple. An animal in chronic negative emotional state will interpret ambiguous signals more negatively. Early work suggests fish show the same pattern. Your fish may not experience pain and distress the way you do. But the evidence is now strong enough that assuming it feels nothing is not a defensible position. It's a convenient one. So here's where we land. 7 things: tapping the glass, running lights too late, ignoring glass surfing, keeping social fish alone, stressing the water chemistry without realizing it, ignoring the vibration and noise in your fish's environment, and assuming that because fish are quiet, they're fine. Your fish can't tell you any of this directly, but it's been showing you every day in the only language it has: behavior. The anxiety pressed against the glass, the frantic pacing, the fish that stopped eating gradually, so slowly you almost didn't notice. Now you know what to look for, and knowing is the first step. If this video changed how you think about your fish, even a little, hit the like button. It genuinely helps this channel reach more people who care about their animals and just need the right information. Subscribe if you want more content like this, because we go deep into animal psychology in ways that most pet channels never touch. And tell me in the comments, which of these 7 surprised you the most?